questions. I'm going to go right to the questions. The overall health is decent for this time of year. Decent health.
Alex is obviously, I think, leads the Big East in minutes played. I assume it's part and parcel a little bit to the benches, not lack of production lately. I mean, would you like to, in a perfect world, cut down the minutes a little bit?
Yes, I would love that. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's it's not sustainable. The thing about, conference, these regular season games, especially the situation that we're in, with Villanova and St. John's, all three of us really battling right now. And that's what makes, college basketball, just so, the regular season just incredible to watch if you're a basketball fan, because these games all feel like Game 7s. These games all feel like playoff games. And, it's one of those things where, again, I feel like probably one of the easiest parts of my job is doling out minutes with players. If you're hurting the team, over the stretch of multiple possessions, offense, defense, I'm going to get you off the court, because conference games, no matter what the KenPom says or what the net says or what the metrics say, you get to these dog days of the season. These games are all hard to win, home, away. So yeah, I mean, we need the bench guys to step up so I can play them more. I want to play the bench. At times in the year, the bench has been the strength. I thought, if Eric, based on Taras's performance, the other night, if it was for Eric, we obviously would have lost the game. So, Eric stepped up. We need Jalen, we need Jaden Ross, we need Malachi, or potentially, Alec. I mean, maybe we just look for a spark and get somebody else in there.
I was going to ask, is Karoma still, he hasn't played much since the Kansas game, but
yeah.
Is he a guy you still could...
Yeah, I think so. I think if the situation's right and, between, what you expect to get from Taras and Eric, you would, there probably isn't always necessarily a need for the third center, but he's certainly capable.
You say they have to be ready to play. What do you mean by that?
Well, you got to play. I mean, you've got to be ready to play. So, like when you're a bench player, you don't get as much like leeway as a starting player is going to get. Like to work your way into a game. I mean, the game is already. We're 5 minutes in, and the game has already been established. And maybe say you're off to a good start. You're up 17-8 in a game. When you go to the bench, and now. If there's a player or two that is now on the court and has been inserted, and now the game is 17-15 and they've made multiple mistakes, then you are not ready to play. And, and you're going to come out of the game. Just like if a starter gets you off to a bad start in a game, now you're going to go to your bench early. So, I got confidence in those guys, but they've proven it. Malachi's won multiple games for us this year. I think Eric has been pretty consistent. He had that that 1-2 game. I think not a good stretch. The St. John's game into the Butler game was the only time I think that I didn't like what Eric's done this year. But it's no secret. I mean, Jalen's got to get himself going. Jay Ross, Malachi. We got to help them. But I think the responsibility is with these guys. They're all veteran players. They're guys that have been around this program for multiple years, or a guy like Malachi with a lot of experience. When you get in the game, play well.
Dan, you talked about the other day the crowd and their lack of motivation.
I didn't say motivation.
Well, or enthusiasm, excuse me. Enthusiasm.
I might have said that.
Yeah.
But don't say motivation, because
well,
UConn fans are motivated.
Them,
yeah.
And they didn't seem to be motivated.
Yeah.
Have you heard, in general terms, back from the crowd? If you have, what was
like people yelling at me when I go to Whole Foods or something?
The car wash, or where,
the car wash.
But I mean,
yeah.
if you've had response,
yeah.
if you haven't, what does that say about a lack of response?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple I think the banana gang under the basket might have sent me a message saying, "Hey, coach, we're really sorry. We'll do better." I mean, the least of our problems are the bananas. I mean, the bananas are doing their part. Hey, listen, I probably should have not even had my mind there. You know, there was definitely a level of frustration. I mean, we almost lost that game inexplicably, and you know, there's probably a lot of layers to it. You know, the fans for me since I've been here, especially with like, you know, obviously after 21 and 22, still getting the support from the fan base the way they supported me. You know, obviously one of those years was a bubble tournament. So, but that year in 22 after the New Mexico State loss, I mean, the people in Connecticut, our fans, have supported me like they support no other college coach in the country. So my relationship with the people of Connecticut, our fan base, they've been as loyal to me as, you know, through all the bull crap, you know, with all the narratives surrounding me and what type of person I am, and with my in-court intensity, and I've had their loyalty all the way through. So my connection with the fans is special, and I appreciate that for them, and I've tried to be loyal to this place by staying here and wanting to be their coach. So I just say, for me, this is the basketball capital of the world, from what I said the other day, and you see a lot of different lists all the time about what are the top 5 places to see a college game, top 10 places to see a college game. And you go to see a college basketball game at UConn, it should be a unique experience. It should be up there with going to Kansas or any other place in the country for a game. And because it means that much to the state of Connecticut, it means that much to our fans. Yeah, and we've been the best college basketball program for the last 30 years. So, I mean, that's, you know, there might have been a better way for me to say it. I wasn't like attacking, you know, or blasting my fan base. I was responding to, you know, and then the other part of it is you go back and watch the film and you feel like an ass because, like, we crushed the crowd. The times when the crowd tried to get involved in the game, you know, we commit a bad foul, or, you know, guys that, you know, players that are regressing defensively from points where they've in the past played bad defense and are still regressing, you know, give up a basket. So, like, you know, part of why you have a great home crowd is you go on runs. And we haven't been a team that's been able to go on long runs, either because at different parts of the year we haven't had the shot making, or now the shot making has improved, now our defense is sliding. So, you know, some of it was probably post-game frustration, but part of it is too, you know, you want every time you play a game, whether it's Gamble or People's Bank, you want it to be like that was the best atmosphere that you'll ever see in college basketball. I think everyone that participates in basketball for UConn, players, coaches, fans, and should enjoy that environment. It should be an environment like that.
Coach, solo balls certainly had a great week last week, and it just feels so important for him to get going. How important is that, especially with this big stretch coming up and closing out the regular season in the next few weeks? Yeah,
solos. You know, you can't keep a good man down, right? So his shooting, you feel like it's always going to come around. You know, he dealt with the wrist thing. His wrist feels much better. I think it's for him right now. It's more about the defensive end of the court. You know, we just had we just had a regression these last 3 games across the board, and it's not exclusive to the guards. You know, I think there's Taris and. You know, across the board, there's things from a defensive standpoint that are major slides back to film sessions that look like last year, and that's something that's a problem.
This deep into the season, how do you feel about the point guard position overall? It's so important to 2 championships.
Yeah.
Silas has obviously been a wonderful fit. And
Yeah.
has won some games, as you mentioned, and Alec could be available.
Yeah. I think we're thinking about Alec. I mean, we're thinking about it. He's just a tough guy with a lot of spirit. Not necessarily, that may be with another point guard, with Silas, or just to get a little more defense on the court and a little bit more toughness on the court. I think we're not being we're not playing very manly in terms of our physicality out there defensively the last 3 games. So, but I would say that, you know, Silas, if Kuzi, I got obviously, you know, Bob Cousy is one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game, you know, and but if that award were to ever, if any of those awards were ever to say like, hey, we screwed something up real bad and we're going to go and put like an 11th guy or whatever they're at in that selection, just the fact that like, you know, and listen, that's not to you know, diminish any of the other point guards. There's so many great point guards, but you know what that guy has done this year relative to two-way player, plus on the backboard, the defense, the rebounding, the scoring, the assists. You know, he's to me closer to playing more like you know, first team all league / one of a couple of guys for us for Big East Player of the Year if we win the championship. You know, / you know, he's playing a little bit like Tristan did in year 2. So, and then Malachi, yeah, I mean, Malachi won a lot of games for us. The Providence game at home and Big East play, plus all the non-conference. Malachi's got to start playing better. He's got to close the year better.
Does he, does he and his role remind you of kind of Hassan 2024?
Yeah, but yeah, and I think you know, we just
I mean Malcolm.
yeah, Malik, and I know exactly. He's impacted our season. Obviously, you know, the minutes have not been quite what they were in the non-conference. You know, but you know, there's never a game if Malachi's right and he's taking care of the ball and he's guarding and he's directing the team and he's at his best. I mean, he shouldn't play less than 15 minutes in a game. He's got to get himself back there.
Yeah, when you look at the inbounding issues, Alex, I think, said that he needs to pull the trigger a little faster sometimes. Make them
Yeah.
faster. Is that what it comes down to, or is it?
I mean, when you watch the film, it's a couple things. It's that. I mean, it's Alex. You know, like it's Alex not reading that a guy that was denied just you know, just switch to another defender and you get these tight windows to throw it. It's also, I think there was, of the 4 situations, I think twice we had players not move to get open and the referee was already on a 2 count. So what you're always telling your players to do versus pressure is almost anticipate the referee handing the ball in and start moving so that you actually have more time to get open, not taking 2 seconds less. So, yeah, I mean, just you got to want the ball at the end of the game. You know, I think that's where I'm like, can we bring Christian Vital back, CV, if you're out there? I mean, that guy, Tristan Newton, I mean, those guys, they wanted the ball. They wanted free throws at the end of the game. I think we had a little bit of not being able to pull the trigger. We had a little bit of kids nowadays not playing other sports, not playing dodgeball, not playing football, not knowing how to get open. Don't know how to juke somebody. You got to know how to get open.
I think on that last turnover, the one where Alex tried to throw it off his leg and missed. But it looked like he was trying to get Braylon first.
Yeah.
Braylon got like tackled out of bounds.
Well, I mean, the only guy that made an attempt to really try to play to the ball was Silas. But he was face guarded and he had all this room behind him to try to get open away from the ball and use the other part of the court. And then just the other 3 players that were supposed to kind of just break the various points of the court all stayed in the back court and all just kind of ran in one direction. And yeah, I mean, it's tough because Alex is like your most trusted person, smart. And then AK is probably not the best at getting open in terms of being twitchy and being able to move that way. So some of it was not running the baseline, but I think a lot of it was just, you know, you got to know how to get open, you know.
Creighton, obviously you handle them well up there at their place. You expect a better Creighton team.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that you ever you know, have more respect as a program that you coach against than Creighton and Mac and just their organization there, their quality, the class. You know, they've you know, you get the major injury to a guy that's potentially one of the best players in the league to start the year. right as you're in a brutal non-conference slate, and things things start going the other way. They deal with a lot of emotional things too, and prayers to the Dix family. Incredible hardship for everyone associated with the family and the program, and everyone is so close. It affects everyone. So, yeah, I mean, we got the ultimate respect for Creighton, so we know we can't we can't perform the way we performed the other night. Get away with it.
Dan, the regression that you were talking about defensively, where does that stem from? Is part of it possibly from some sort of wall dog days of February?
I mean, some of it, listen, I guess, versus Georgetown, you get, I don't know what was Fort. Fort going into the game was 0 for 3 from 3 on the season, 0 for 2. He makes a 3. Mulready had a career night. I don't. Some of it is, a little bit of bad fortune, but I think there's a lot more just our wing defenders, just not. Yeah, I would say if you look at the team, especially from a starting standpoint, you say, what is the difference between this team and the 23-24 team? Was like, who's that wing defender? Andre Jackson on 23, Steph Castle on 24. This team doesn't start a guy who's identifies as like, I'm a shutdown wing defender. So obviously when Jay Ross comes in the game, so we need those guys to play good defense, and then I think that Taras has got to protect the rim better. Taras has got to be better in ball screen defense. We can't survive. We need Taras to play like one of the best centers in the country. That tandem has got to be dominant for us. We can't get outplayed at the center position. So.